What a night it was in the Audi 2021 MLS Cup playoffs. Welcome to the Audi MLS Cup playoffs post-game show. I'm Andrew Wiebe with Matt Doyle, with Charlie Davies, with Calen Carr. It is a late evening or an early morning for you, perhaps ahead of Thanksgiving, and give thanks for David Ochoa. Give thanks for whatever RSL had tonight. They got them through 120 minutes without a shot. Only two other times in MLS history has that happened in 90 minutes in regulation. Well, it doesn't matter. 6-5 in PKs. On they go into the Western Conference Semifinals against Sporting Kansas City. The Seattle Sounders season is over. I repeat, it is over. Portland will come at us on Thanksgiving. Of course, we now have all the conference finals set. Doyle, I don't even know what to say about this at this point.
Yeah.
We've tried to put this, we've tried to express what this means, and I just don't think it's possible
to win this game. And RSL didn't see a path for them to win this game. They basically did not cross midfield. They took zero shots. I mean, they're taking shots now, I'm sure, but they took zero shots during the game. They never threatened goal at all. And the whole plan was just to try to get it into extra time and maybe steal one off a corner kick. If that didn't happen, then obviously you play for penalties. And look, that was the game plan. They executed it. Seattle had a couple of chances, but they never really tested David Ochoa all that hard from open play. I think Rui Diaz hit the post once, but that was about it for really good chances. They executed really well. RSL executed really well. They saw their gap, they took it, and they knocked the Sounders out in Seattle, and they're advancing. And that's the name of the game this time of year.
Coming into this, they were massive underdogs, and we said if they had a chance, this was going to be the biggest upset. It turns out to be the only upset of the first round of the playoffs, and what a way to do it. I mean, missing their best player, arguably, with Rusnak before the match due to health and safety protocols, already at a huge deficit as far as, sort of profile, talent, experience, whatever it might be. And so there was really one option. I mean, we looked at it and we said, when this RSL team has gone and opened things up, we've seen them lose, I think, 6-1 against Portland, 4-3. They were a 4-3 match. Lost to San Jose. When they sit back and when they just defend, they're a tough team to beat. And that's what they bet on today. That's what Pablo Mastroeni set them up to do. They frustrated. They began wasting time. We saw David Ochoa starting to waste time in the first half, in the first
24th minute, Calen. 24th minute, he got a warning for time wasting.
But in the end, they get through 2 overtime sessions, get outshot 21-0. And they're the one that end up walking away, going to the next round. So it's a tough one to say, I admire it in a way but they were pinned into a corner. Nobody believed in them. And that's kind of what the story of RSL has been throughout the season. Their ex-manager is sitting on the other sideline who's left for understandable, you can understand the personal reasons and circumstances around it. But still, nobody has really believed in this team. And ultimately, I wouldn't say they believed in themselves as far as they were going to go and score a goal, but they read the picture clearly, and they played the game based on what was in front of them at the time.
One stat that jumps out to me in this match is 15 corners for Seattle to 1 for RSL. To 1. And you couldn't take care of business on set pieces. For Seattle, you control the game. You have possession. We all know possession means nothing if you're not creating real chances. And there's a lot of half chances, but no golden chance. And I think for RSL, the game plan was always just to defend. We gotta play for PKs. And that's how we're going to advance. If you believe in me, we're gonna do it. And they did. Pablo Mastroeni came into this thinking, you know what? We have all I think all the hype and attention's on Seattle to make another crazy run in the playoffs this year. No one's giving us a shot. I believe in this group, and all we have to do, especially without Albert Rusnak, we just got to defend. Put everything on the line for this club, and they did. And you have to give credit to this group. But if I'm a player, and I'm in that Seattle locker room, I am not happy. I can tell you that. I am not happy.
Let's talk a little bit about David Ochoa. I just want to round up where we're at the conference semis first. Out in the West is Colorado-Portland on Thanksgiving. That's on Fox. You know where to watch it in the afternoon. Set your day around it. We'll talk about that more at the very, very end of this show. Sporting Kansas City, of course, now host the game. They were the 3 seed. Figured they're going to Seattle. Maybe assumed they were. No. RSL is coming to town. Peter Vermees has got to be happy about that. New England, NYC on the other side, and Philly, Nashville. Nashville, 2-1 winners tonight. We have some sound from Nashville from Hany, Mukhtar, and Gary Smith coming up, as well as all the highlights. It was the Hany, Mukhtar game in a lot of ways in that sense. And this was the David Ochoa game. It felt like really from the start, like if there was a star on the field, if there was somebody who said, I want the attention, I want this moment, it was sort of David Ochoa, like in a weird way. Like he's not making the saves, but he's finding a way to insert himself in every situation, and it just comes down to one. That's really all it was. It's 6-5 in the PKs. They're putting in the corners. They're making it look easy. It came down to one, and then you see the giddiness from David Ochoa.
Like, but this wasn't a game where David Ochoa stood on his head and made save after save, or Tim Howard versus Belgium, or it wasn't that type of game for him. He stole the sort of the spotlight, but mainly because of his time wasting, right? His ability to kind of find those moments to either take an extra beat or to take an extra moment, and that's so valuable in a game like this for a team that's under it and is going to be sitting back throughout the whole match. And then ultimately, when it came to penalties, you kind of felt like, okay, well, this team has nothing to lose going into the match. But once they got to penalties, you actually felt like they probably had almost no pressure on them, because they, just by the fact that they had survived to get there at that point was another good moment for them. And then look, he dove the other direction on every single play, but then he gets one right, and that's all it took. And I thought Seattle actually took their penalties. Both teams took their penalties very well. It just ended up with Kellen Rowe being a little bit unlucky, where it had gone to the 6th penalty, and someone at that point was about to miss, and that pressure builds and builds. It goes on to the home team. It goes to the team with the control and all the shots. And David Ochoa was up for the moment, makes the big save, and Salt Lake, they find their way somehow. I still almost can't believe it, but they found their way through.
I mean, they can believe it. It's in the song.
What's the legacy of this game? Like, we're in the immediacy afterwards, but how do you think this will be remembered longer term? Because I was thinking about as Glad's shot is saved and then off the post and in, and we're joking about double posts, and that was the legacy of that shootout. Like, what is the enduring memory of this one?
Well, that you can defend first and bend, but not break. In this match, I think we knew Seattle had never lost at home in the first round of the playoffs. Like, there were so many things against RSL. You talk about the club, the league owning the club. You don't even have a real owner. You talk about the players not knowing who's coming, who's going, what the identity of this club looks like now and in the future. Even your head coach left because of family reasons, because of job security. I'm going to go to Seattle. You have all of those things heading into this. And for this team to come together and just say, you know what? They might be better than us.
Rusnak out as well. Right before the game.
Rusnak out. You're one of your best players. They might be better than us, but we're going to manage this game properly. And it starts with David Ochoa just saying, all right, anytime I'm going down, I'm going to waste it. I'm going to start playing. And it's a psychological game, because I've been there as a striker, and you're playing against a team that you are better, or you think you're better than, and the keeper already starts sitting on the ball, taking extra touches, and it just starts to annoy you. It annoys you so much that sometimes you get off your game a little bit. And I felt like he started that in the 24th minute, getting that first yellow, and it already put that type of mindset on Seattle, like, okay, they're going to start to waste time. We got to rush things. And it ended up translating into their attacking half chances. It was a little rushed. Everything was a little the crosses were a little too early, or the shots were a little too early, and they never got into a rhythm because of the way RSL set up.
Figured Ruiz Diaz would come off the bench and change this game. He almost did hit the post, but in the end, RSL, as you said, Charlie, they pulled the 2016 Sounders. They bend, but they did not break. They got the job done. They are on. Sporting Kansas City, Real Salt Lake in this next game. on November 28th. That comes up in 4 fast days for RSL after extra time, all 30 minutes of it. 3 p.m. Eastern, ABC, ESPN Deportes. Look ahead for us, Doyle. We assumed, and I had assumed really, that it was Sounders Sporting Kansas City, and that was just ripe with storylines, given everything that happened toward the end of the year and everything that has happened between these clubs. Well, there's a lot of history between Sporting Kansas City and RSL as well. This is a completely different match, a completely different sort of balance. Where do you see it?
I mean, we did kind of see it on decision day, right? Like RSL went to Sporting Kansas City needing a result, and they kind of showed us the blueprint for what they were going to do tonight. That version of RSL was not the losing 6-1, losing 4-3 version of RSL. That was a 4-5-1, get numbers behind the ball, be completely fine with 35-40% possession, try to limit both the quality in this weekend's game, especially because they expended so much energy tonight, over 120 minutes. You don't want to come out after that on short rest and try to play an expansive game on the road against a team like Sporting Kansas City that can rip you up with the ball. So I think what we'll see from RSL is what we saw tonight. They might not have another shot. They might go another 90 minutes without registering a shot, and they'll probably be fine with that if they defend like they defended tonight.
David and Goliath. That's the way it went down. And no goals in this one. That's unfortunate for the viewers, of course, all of us. So the drama at the end was pretty special, but also for the Audi Goals Drive Progress program. It is back for another year of playoff soccer, the Audi Goals Drive Progress program. For every goal scored in the Audi MLS Cup playoffs, $2,000 will be contributed to the Audi Goals Drive Progress Fund, directly supporting MLS youth academies. Thanks to the 15 goals scored so far in round one, we're off to a great start. That's $30,000 donated. And, of course, throughout the playoffs, you can also catch the Driving Force series on Instagram to stay up to date on all the big storylines. Head over to BR Football's IG stories, Driving Force, to vote for your favorite club, learn about goals, drive progress, and here's some Audi MLS Cup playoffs bracket challenge predictions. And I'm told we will get to our bracket challenge predictions from after that decision day drama with RSL at the end of this show. Doyle, we always say goodbye. Au revoir, adios. We're saying it to the Sounders, which is a little bit surprising. Charlie had said if he was one of those players sitting in the locker room, he'd be like, what the hell just happened? What should the Sounders be thinking right now, and what's it mean?
Figure out a way to get back there one way or another in 2022. But whether or not they get back to the very top of the mountain, that depends on having their DPs fit, and that is a huge question now in the way it just never has been for this club before.
Garth Lagerway, this is your time, man. Got to figure it out. I got to imagine this is a disappointing time for this Sounders team.
I'm going to take a little bit, just real quickly, I'm going to take a little bit of I agree with all of that. The only thing I would say is, for a team that missed so much as far as their health and availability, from Stephen Fry to Jordan Morris having a freak injury on loan to Ladero and Rui Diaz, they've still finished second in the West. So I think, they've developed some young players. Atencio came on. Alex Roldan really emerged for both club and country this year. They found some really nice pieces to add. And then, Will Bruin also was not available tonight. So if you look at just kind of, I think this game just kind of came, they had so much of the ball. They had 21 shots. If Rui Diaz is there for the whole match, you saw him smash the ball off the crossbar in it. I imagine him, a healthy Rui Diaz, a healthy Nico Ladero, and you get to Jordan Morris, who's got his first start. I just think this game came at the wrong time. Yes, they didn't take their chances, but if I were Seattle, yes, you do have to monitor those injuries. But I think considering those injuries, especially, they actually did very well, better than you would expect during the regular season. But ultimately, yes, they've set their own bar, and it's trophies, and that's what this club is about. So disappointing in the end, but I wouldn't blow it all up.
Yeah, it's okay. I think you have to be proud of what this team did throughout this regular season, missing everybody. But this season was about imagination, imagining what they would be like when Rui Diaz was back, when Ladero was back, when Morris was back in these playoffs. And they just never did get to that point because RSL stood resolute. All right, that's the Western Conference. Colorado, Portland, Fox Deportes on Thanksgiving, 3:30 p.m. Central Time because I live in Central Time, but it is 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, Sporting Kansas City and RSL will also play in 4 days on ABC. Let's take a look at the East. Nashville, 2-1 winners against Orlando. They went down early, and they fought back via Hany Mukhtar. Philadelphia is their next destination. Meanwhile, the Rebs will host NYCFC. Band of Brothers. Well, it helps when you have Hany Mukhtar, doesn't it, Charlie? He makes all the difference.
He does. I mean, what he was able to do tonight, it was like, hey, I'm an MVP candidate for a reason. He put the team on his back. The double step over to secure that second goal was phenomenal. He's just a creative player. He's really tricky on the dribble, and I think you heard him talk about giving him freedom this year. Well, now that he has that freedom, he's producing. He's one of the really tougher players in the Eastern Conference in the league to stop when he has that much space in front of him.
Deflection helps. But look, anytime he got in this space, he was dangerous, Calen. This is sort of what he's thrived at all year. He's not necessarily a 10. He's more of a second forward. If he gets on the ball with room to run and a little space between the lines, it is almost impossible to stay in front of him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, credit to Doyle there for winning that ball in possession, beginning to put Hany Mukhtar in a good spot. But, yeah, Charlie said it. If Carlos Hill was not around for some strange reason this year, Hany Mukhtar would be the MVP, and he would be deserving. And I think for those fans that may not have been tracking Nashville as closely this year, this was a bit of a wake-up call. We saw in the Western Conference, Sebastian Blanco, his performance, I think, was kind of the standout of the first round as far as what an MVP caliber clutch player can do individually for a team. Hany Mukhtar did that because they were down 1-0, which has kind of been the MO for Nashville. They've given up early goals and they've climbed their way back, even at home. They did on decision day. They did it again tonight, and mostly it's been through Hany Mukhtar. He's just been so dangerous being able to get into that soft spot in front of the back line and in behind the midfield. And once he starts driving at you, I don't know if I've seen a player kind of like that in that position. He can do it from set pieces. Maybe Di Rosario might be the only sort of comp that I could think of as far as somebody who can kind of beat you one-on-one, kill you from set pieces, has that athleticism and then that finishing ability. And, yeah, today showed a little bit of the same clutch gene.
18 goals now with 2 in this game. 12 assists on the season for Hany Mukhtar. That's 30 combined. That is incredible. Let's go to Nashville. David Goss was there for this match. An AT&T 5G call to the field, an interview with the man himself, Hany Mukhtar.
Take me into that first goal. You go down a goal. A lot of the offensive load falls on your shoulders. What were you trying to do, and how did you see that deflection go in?
Yeah, it was an amazing ball-winning situation from Godoy, and he asked for the ball, but I saw that the defender will follow him, so I tried to just hit the goal, and was a little bit of luck, but you have to earn the luck.
For your team, you've been that offensive nucleus all year. Do you feel pressure in there? How do you enjoy that role?
I mean, it's an honor. That's not a pressure. You always have pressure in sport, and that's what we love about that. And these playoff games, that's why we train so hard. We had 34 regular season games, and I mean, then the moment of players, you just have to enjoy it.
You've played, of course, home in front of these fans all year. What was tonight like?
Yeah, amazing. It's just incredible, our fans, and we can't wait to see or to play next year in our own stadium, and will be fantastic. 2
goals tonight, so 3 goals next game?
Hopefully, but I would prefer to just beat Philly and go on.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Hany, take me into that first goal. Doyle. Give us a little bit of an idea of what awaits them and what you saw from Nashville in this game.
I mean, what we saw from Nashville in this game was patience. They were completely at ease, letting Orlando City try to control play with the ball. And even when they went down a goal, I mean, they're used to it. They went down a goal at home, I think 7 or 8 times this year. They came back and got at least a point in every one of those. And so this was nothing new for them. And then anytime they had a chance to get out on the break, they were dangerous. And Hany Mukhtar is the biggest part of that, but also the distribution from Godoy and Dax in central midfield, and then CJ Sapong up top, just being a bulldozer with a touch. The ability to get a defender on his back and still hold him off and then complete meaningful passes. That second goal, the game-winning goal, the second goal that Mukhtar scored, I mean, that was a Clint Dempsey, Obafemi Martins type goal. It was 2 versus 6, and they were able to go out there and create a goal out of that. That was a special moment. As for what they'll face in Philadelphia, Philly's very good at blowing up patient teams. They play in transition. They're at their best, I think, playing in transition. They can, knock it around a little bit, though that's not their preferred method of playing the game. But they will test that patience that Nashville showed tonight. They will definitely test, Dax McCarty and Anibal Godoy in terms of, like, those guys like to set tempo and like to kind of dictate where the game is played. Philadelphia doesn't let that happen. So it's a different sort of test than what Orlando City presents, and it's going to be in Chester. It's tough to beat Philadelphia in Chester, and I'm really looking forward to this game.
Yeah, Gary Smith not too happy about that. Had an interesting comment about wins versus goal differential. I think a little tongue-in-cheek, but they are going to Chester. This might be their final home game, likely will be their final home game before opening the Nashville Fairgrounds Stadium on May 1st of next year. Let's hear what Gary Smith had to say. It's an AT&T 5G call to the field. Back to Nashville we go.
Coach, let's start with the game and the game plan. You've had great battles against Orlando all year. What was the focus coming in?
Well, as I said at the start of the game, Orlando have a great quality and great quality players in their team. But one of their biggest qualities is seizing the initiative in the game, especially when you feel as though you're getting a bit of a head of steam up and some momentum. And the technical ability in their group, the rotation of midfield players has caused us a lot of problems. The beginning of the game, the opening exchanges, I thought they controlled. Set-piece goal is bitterly disappointing. But I think beyond that point, there was almost a flame that was lit under everyone's backside. And we score a little bit of a fortuitous goal. But the pressure, the energy, the passion seemed to really exude from the players from that point. And the shame was we needed to go a goal down to see that bit of edge and that bit of spite out of the group. But there's been some wonderful performances. Big centre-half has been an absolute warrior again. That's an incredible battle with DK through the middle there. Hany's been outstanding. There have been some tremendous, workmanlike performances. And I'm so happy for such a big crowd and for us to continue that unbeaten run here. Who knows? We could be back here again. You never know what the playoffs are going to throw up. But we're certainly a tough prospect here.
The playoffs are a lot of teams. They falter. They don't know how to play in this environment, in this moment. For your teams, it feels like they get better. What is it about the playoffs that you guys like so much?
Well, I think it's down to the characters. They're pressurised situations. I think it's easy for teams to, show a few frayed edges and become a bit reckless. But this group, for about 34 games this year, have known what they're about. They know what their DNA is. And they know that if they can get back in the game, which we did, they're going to find a way to nudge their noses in front. And especially here, with these supporters behind us, it gives us that extra little lift. So proud of them.
Congratulations, Coach. We'll see you in Philly.
All right, let's say goodbye to Orlando. We'll have more to talk about with Nashville. Doyle, we're going to look at our brackets here in a second, since the three of us, Charlie, Calen, and I, will do those honors and perhaps embarrass ourselves. Say goodbye to Oscar Pareja's team. Could be an end of an era here.
Yeah, it feels like the end of an era because, we know Chris Mueller's gone. That's one. Mauricio Pereira and Nani are both at the end of their respective contracts. Those are your two DPs right there. We know that Daryl Dike has interest all over Europe. If the right number comes in, you have to assume that he will make the move this winter as well. And so you're looking at a brand new team in a lot of ways in 2022. And a lot of ways that has to be heartbreaking for Orlando City fans because at times this group played such great soccer over the past 2 years under Oscar Pareja. But more often than not in this season, it was just grit and grind and just trying to hold it all together and trying to find that little bit of magic. Usually it came through Daryl Dike, and in the end it came through Daryl Dike or not at all. So it feels like a good time to start a clean slate with this attack, try to build a team that's more in Oscar Pareja's likeness, and try to figure out what the next step for Orlando City is. I think that if taken in a vacuum, this year would end up being a little bit disappointing. But if you think back 24 months to where Orlando City were as a franchise, as a club, I think if you're an Orlando City fan, you just got to shake this one off tonight and say, you know what, we've made the playoffs twice in a row. We've proved that we can develop some good young players. We've proved that we have a front office that can identify and sign and integrate good players as well. And that's the building block for future success. And at this point, you just got to turn the page and you got to look at 2022 already. Be thankful for the last 2 years. Be optimistic about what's to come for as long as Oscar Pareja's there.
And look, we talked a lot about RSL and their lack of an owner this year throughout, of course, with the Freddie Juarez situation, this match as well. But on the flip side, Orlando City have new ownership. The Wilfs are involved. There's still a question mark as to what the level of their ambition is going to be. They could drive this club massively forward with the roster openings that may be in front of them this offseason. So for Orlando City, certainly a disappointment, certainly not reaching the highs that we saw in, for instance, MLS's back, but progress over the course of 2 years with Oscar Pareja. All right, let's take a look. We filled these Audi bracket challenges out after about 8, 9, maybe even 10 hours straight live on decision day. Calen, you are up first. What do we got here? What are we seeing? Let's see. Vancouver, Seattle Sounders,
Why are you starting with the negatives?
Rapids, Portland, that's good.
Yeah,
Red Bulls,
don't get negative on us.
All right,
first of all, I would like to say for all of us, on all of our behalfs, this was made after like a 6-hour decision day live show. So we, some of these choices were made a bit under duress. I think my mind, especially in the Vancouver category, maybe took me the wrong direction.
You were drunk on
I'm
Sartini.
Sorry, Peter Vermees. Give him a full week. Yeah, I was drunk with Sartini. It was a blast. I had a great time, but that didn't last. But I feel I was a little nervous today at the start with Nashville, but then they came back, and I sort of went out on a limb in a way. I think New England probably the sensible pick, especially having lost 2 MLS Cups myself to Bruce Arena. But in this case, I decided to go with Nashville. And I think we saw a little bit today what they can be. We saw Walker Zimmerman, who Coach Smith mentioned, just what a unique defender and probably the best defender in the league. DK got the goal, but that was a matchup with Levitz where you would have liked to maybe have seen Walker maybe manning up, because that's the matchup problem for anybody else in that situation. But I really liked what I saw out of Nashville. I think they've got a real chance. And now with Seattle out, if you're Colorado, yes, you got to get by Portland, but you feel a little bit better not having Seattle just in the playoffs. And Sporting Kansas City, I think, also has proven to be a surprise team. So, but it's just evaluating my chances. I'm riding with Nashville. That's where I started. That's my sort of go out on a limb pick. And today, I'm sitting pretty. I'm feeling good right now. So what do you got to say?
Yeah, that's right. MLS Cup matchup is there. What about Charlie's? What do we see from Mr. Chuck D here? Oh, no. Do you even remember at this point? Oh, Seattle in the final. Oh, no. And Orlando all the way to a conference final. Yikes.
Yeah. But I'm still alive. I'm still alive for the winner. It's one of those things where I thought, Orlando City could have easily, taken this match had they focused on, not allow, once they were definitely up a goal, not allowing Hany Mukhtar to get into open space. I mean, it seems so basic, but they got stretched, and then Nashville absolutely punished them. And that's why they're so good. I get a lot of Walker Zimmerman vibes or Chad Marshall vibes from Walker Zimmerman. Just from being so dominant in the air, physically gifted. A lot of strikers don't want anything to do with aerial challenges. And so I get a lot of Chad Marshall vibes when I see Walker Zimmerman. But this is, I think, the upset of the night for everybody is just RSL Seattle. I would love to see everyone's bracket if you're not an RSL fan or you're working for the organization. But yeah, I mean, This is what the playoffs are about, having some great matches, an occasional upset here or there. But I think what we're arguably the best match of the playoffs, I think, will be New England versus New York City FC, just because I think New York City FC are such a talented group. They're not afraid to play at Gillette Stadium, and we know what the Revs are. They're the Supporter Shield winners. So I think that might be the most entertaining and aesthetically pleasing match of the playoffs.
All right, wait till Sunday for that one. Let's see what I had. I know I switched it up. I second-guessed myself. Sounders on that night all the way. I thought they were going to get healthy. I remember now. Hey, pick the Red Bulls. That was a good one. I have the Eastern Conference, so that worked out pretty well for me. I was also popping bubbly with Vanni Sartini. And
the Red Bulls lost, right?
Yeah, the Red Bulls lost, dude.
Yeah, that was a good one.
See, I got like 15 seconds of selling that falsehood before anybody corrected me. I was almost there.
We keep the receipts. We learned that from the Red Bull Twitter handle.
Exactly. Well, hope your bracket challenge is going well out there, and you're still alive. Colorado Portland is next up in these Audi 2021 MLS Cup playoffs. Thanksgiving Day, Thanksgiving afternoon, 4:30 p.m. Eastern.
I'll be there with turkey.
Fox Deportes, Big Fox. Pull up your antenna. Make sure you pull that one in. What do we think about this game? What do we see? Let's get excited. We're kind of talking about what Colorado would be on the Thanksgiving table. And we had some different ideas, and I'm going to throw out that they're prime rib. Like everybody else has turkey. I'm anti-turkey. Not a big turkey guy. Prime rib is what the chosen few get to have on Thanksgiving. And for the chosen few that have stuck with the Rapids and rode for them for the last 2.5, 3 years, this is their just reward, a Thanksgiving home game against Portland Timbers and an opportunity to win one game to go to the conference finals, and two MLS Cup. That's incredible.
You're the first person I've ever heard say prime rib for Thanksgiving, though. Just throwing that out there.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's the Colorado Rapids of Thanksgiving, man.
Wiebe's got some hot takes on food on Twitter if you're not tracking along. But look, if you're Colorado, sitting back a little bit, Seattle going out. I've picked Seattle. I've picked Colorado to go to MLS Cup, and I think to get 2 games at home, Colorado's always just a difficult place to play as far as the altitude. Thanksgiving Day is probably going to be freezing cold. I went to their last huge match against when they beat, who was it? I think they beat LA Galaxy at home in Denver. And there were fans in the crowd wearing flip-flops, like Birkenstocks with no Birkenstocks, is that what they call it? Yeah, with no socks. So fans out there are built a little bit different. I think it's going to be a packed house. And, when you look at this team in general, they've got so many different weapons that can play. And I think against Portland, especially on the wings, they may be able to cause Portland some problems. Because when you look at that Minnesota goal that was, really well worked and built up, and they can get down the wings and cause some problems. And you look at Barrios and Lewis, they've got a bunch of different options that can really get in behind. And then that midfield with Kay and Price and Acosta, that's a really strong, that's an MLS Cup type midfield. Like you look at the experience, you look at the sort of metal and the versatility, the way they can play. That's a team I think can really hurt people. And so I think they'll sort of like almost being strangely underdogs, it feels like, as the number 1 seed. Nobody expected them to get there. But that's a good profile, I think, for Robin Fraser's team. I think there's going to be a good game.
You're going against your guy, Blanco?
It's hard to do. No. It's hard to do. I know, but
in just a second, I've seen some Rapids fans in tank tops out there. Just they don't feel the cold like we do.
Wow.
But I will say that the way that this is going to shape up, I think Robin Fraser has done an incredible job of getting his team to play a certain style, and their go-to thing is we don't have one superstar or 3, we have 11. We're a team, right? And in Portland, they play on the counter. That's how they play. So Colorado, they do commit numbers forward at times, but this is a team that's kind of, they go forward as 11, they drop as 11. It's kind of a unit, and I think that's what Robin Fraser has done so well. Whereas Portland, they can get stretched at times, but more than not, they're going to be dropping deep, inviting pressure, and then looking to counter, whether it's through Jimmy Chara, through Sebastian Blanco. But those are the ways that Portland are going to try and get at Colorado. I think it's going to be a tight match. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring match at all. I think it's going to be a 1-0 type match.
All right. Thanksgiving, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Fox Deportes, Colorado, Portland, and then on Sunday, Kansas City, RSL, 3 p.m. Eastern, ABC, ESPN Deportes. Right after that, over on ESPN, Philadelphia, Nashville. We're going to narrow it down to 4 teams, and from there 2, and from there 1 on December 11th. MLS Cup, a very normal night in MLS here. No shots on goal, no shots, no nothing for 120 minutes. Winning PKs for RSL. Right now, David Ochoa is yelling into a camera somewhere about the power rankings disrespect. Meanwhile, Brian Schmetzer saying, keep the group together. We got CCL next year.
Wait. David Ochoa is talking about the power rankings disrespect.
Absolutely.
So he and Adrian Heath have finally found common ground. I love it. It's a holiday miracle.
Perfect end of the night. Give thanks, everyone. We will see you on Thursday. I will be there pregame on Twitter Spaces and postgame. We'll get at you where you can find us then. Enjoy your week. Congratulations, RSL. You believed, even if we didn't.